guys, what's up? Jtown Bassman here. Got a great video for you today. Gonna talk a little bit about fishing line. Now, if you're like me or any other fisherman, you walk into Gander Mountain, Cabela's, Walmart, Bass Pro Shop, anywhere that sells fishing tackle, and you see a wall of line, and on there's a good a dozen brands of fishing line, and you're going, which one's the strongest? Which one, which one's gonna hold up the best? Which one's gonna have the less memory? Things like that. There's a lot of questions to ask when picking a fishing line, and I'm gonna try to alleviate some of those questions for you today. And I'm gonna give you some personal tips on what I believe works, and then things I hear from my job. If you guys don't know, I work at Gander Mountain, and I work in the fishing department. So on a given day, I deal with anywhere from 12 to 40 different fishermen in my store. And I'm responsible for holding down the whole fishing department when I'm on duty. So when they come up to me, I start a conversation. We start talking about fishing line. We start talking about different types of lures, different types of rods, reels, things like that. And I learn a lot just because of everybody has a different way of doing things. So it's cool for me because I pick up more information to tell you guys, and then in turn you guys learn some more to be able to tell other people, and that's how the chain of fishing knowledge works. It just goes down the line. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to do over the three types of line: braid, mono, and fluorocarbon. So I'll give you my opinions on all three, when I use them, which ones I prefer to have on the reel. Alrighty guys, let's get started here. We're going to start with the basic fishing line that everyone has thrown, and that's monofilament. It's the universal fishing line, as I like to call it. It's the one that's on every push button, every spinning, every bait caster, you name it. People have thrown a lure with it. So it's the cheapest line out there to buy. It's the most easiest to find a good quality of line, I feel, and it is the most universal. Like I said, you could throw many different baits on the same line. Many guys like to mix it up and have a specific line for a specific type of fishing. I, on the other hand, I've experimented with it and haven't found that my results of my number of fish caught have changed. Of course, when it comes to certain aspects of fishing like top water, frogging, and the muck and everything, you're going to want to throw 65, 50-pound braid because a monofilament's not going to stand up to that. But whether it's crank baiting or jigging or spinner baits, some guys use mono, some guys use fluorocarbon. I personally use whatever reel I want. I grab one off the rack, throw it in the truck, and I'm off. I don't really pay attention to the type of line that I'm using. So the first brand that I use and I love and I will recommend to anyone is Suffix. Suffix Siege or Suffix Elite are the two brands of are the two kinds of mono that I throw about 90% of the time. It's cheap. It's $7.99 to $8.99 a spool at Gander Mountain anyway. You get 300 yards on it, so you're gonna get 3 reels or 3 spools worth of line out of it if you put 100 yards on roughly. So that's a pretty good deal. This one here actually has 330 because it's 10 pounds. So you're anywhere from 300 to 350 yards of line depending on weight, and so you can get a significant amount of line for a pretty cheap price. But not only that, it's a quality line. It's got great durability and abrasion resistance when you're around rocks and brush like that. Great knot strength, great castability, and I just find that I can keep the line on my reel longer if I have Suffix on than any other brand. And I fish quite a bit. I'm out at least 4 to 5 days a week for anywhere from an hour to 4 hours, and then tournaments as well here and there. So and I'm fishing all different kinds of structures, so it's my universal line, my go-to line. I'm comfortable having it on my reel. I know I'm not going to break off fish. I've never broken a fish off with Suffix before. I've always had my knots hold, and I can get great casts out of my reels with that. Now, usually I throw it on my bait casters, but I do spool it up on some of my spinning reels as well. This one right here actually has the Suffix Siege and 12-pound clear. I usually use the clear or the low-vis green just because of the lakes I'm fishing has dingy water. So I think that the green contrasts well. But this time I decided to go with clear this year on my reels because I just respooled these at work the other day off of this spool. So and Bass Pro has a cool. They had 660 yards for $5 over last year, at the end of last year. So I grabbed 2 spools of this. I went through one already, but Suffolk Siege. This is a 14-pound test. I use anywhere from 10 to 14. I don't stray anything above 14. I just find that it's a little too bulky for the fishing I'm doing. I like to have a little bit thinner line, and I really don't use 10. I'm mainly a 12 guy, 12 right on the money. Some people like to go heavier, but my preference is I do fine with 12. So would be my first, would be Suffolks, and you can see that I have quite a bit of Suffolks line. These are some, actually I got a little bit left on some of these boxes, but the next would have to be Berkeley Trilene. A lot of guys swear by this stuff, and I believe it is the first DuPont Stren is the first monofilament made, but Trilene is like a staple. All the old guys come in and buy Trilene. I try to get them, talk to them about Suffolks. Nope, Trilene, and they stick to it. So this is Trilene. They're new revamped, super strong, better quality, better knot strength, stuff like that line, and I find that it actually is a pretty good line. I have this in a in a 12-pound test. It's a clear again. They also make it in green and with the low vis green, and they have anywhere from 4 to 30-pound tests, 25, 20, 30-pound test, yeah. And so does Suffolks. So this is my second go-to. Or they have the red color one, which is just the smooth casting. This is the XLT, so the extra tough. It's got a little bit more abrasion resistance to it. That's why I like it better. But this is the old kind. I use this on my spinning reels. This is a 10-pound, and then I have 8 too that I put on my spinning reels. I find that the Trilene works a little bit better on the spinning reels than it does on bait casters. So that's why I use my Suffolks mainly for my bait casters with my heavier baits. I'll throw Trilene because I find that it's for like finesse and drop shot and stuff like that. The line's a little more. It's easier to maneuver. I find on a spinning reel, it just reels in nicer because of the way it's going on the reel, and that might sound weird to some people, but I have tried it with the Suffolks, and the Suffolks line is kind of stiff. But that's why I like it for my heavier fishing baits, my crankbaits, my jigs, my spinner baits, things like that, because it is a little bit heavier, stiffer of a line. And that's why I use the Trilene mainly for my spinning gear. So that's my second. Again, I think that has great knot strength, great durability. I have broken a few fish off on Trilene, not gonna lie. That's why I mainly go with Suffolks, and I mainly throw my bait casters. So. But great knot strength, smooth casting, and again, they have 2 different kinds: the XLT and the XL smooth casting. So that would be my. Try to stay away from brands like the Zebco from Walmart, Stren, P-Line, Vicious. I hate Seagar. A lot of guys are gonna go, "What? See, you don't like Seagar?" Yes, Seagar is horrible. The only thing that Seagar makes that is good is their fluorocarbon. Their monofilament and their braid are terrible. Do not waste your money on them. And P-Line also don't even touch. But in the Vicious and the Stren, yeah, just stick with Trilene or Suffolks for monofilament. You won't be sorry about that. Moving on to some of the guys or some people's favorite line, from what I hear at work anyway, is fluorocarbon. A lot of guys come in for fluorocarbon. I had a guy come in that just bought 6 spools of Seagar and then a few spools of the Berkeley 100% fluorocarbon, and I was like, wow, you really like the fluorocarbon. But I find that my favorite brand, or the favorite type of fluorocarbon, is the Invisex, or I'm sorry, the Vanish. Invisex is Seagar. Vanish by Berkeley. I found that the knot strength is great in this line. It casts well, and it's got a high abrasion resistance. And I have 3 spools here actually, and I've used it on my spinning gear. I've used it for crankbaits on my bait casters, and I found that it works for both techniques well. I have a 10-pound test that was on my spinning reel, and then I have two 14s that were going on my bait casters. So I don't, like I said, I don't throw fluoro much, just because it's a little expensive for me. Like I said, Suffix $7.99 for 3 spools or 3 reels. You got me hooked, and it's a great line, and that's why I tried it out and actually love it now. But I'm a budget fisherman. I've been a budget fisherman since I started this YouTube channel. 2 years, going on 2 years. April 14th will be 2 years, you know, I've always wanted to find the cheapest way for me to catch great fish, and that's by going with cheaper lines. So Invisex, definitely. Trilene, 100% fluorocarbon. I don't have that, but a lot of guys come in for that, and then Seagar would round off that as well. But then my other one that I've tried personally that I like is the Suffix castable invisible 100% fluorocarbon. This is a 17-pound test. I also use that for crankbaiting, and that was a great spool up that I had with that reel. That lasted me a good month and a half. So yeah, top 4 would be the Invisex 100% fluorocarbon, Seagar, and then my second top, or my second favorite would be the Suffix castable invisible fluorocarbon. So that is the fluorocarbon line. A lot of guys fish that for crankbaits and finesse stuff. I throw whatever, like I said, but I do hear a lot of opinions on it, and I do have an opinion on the line that I use, and so do you guys. And every opinion is valid when it comes to the fishing world, because everyone can catch a fish in a different way. Always remember that. Always. Last but not least, going to go into the king daddy of the fishing line, the line that is going to withstand all the elements that you can throw it in, and the line that this year I'm going to fish a heck of a lot more would be braid. Now, a lot of guys, when they hear the word braid, they automatically think fishing in the crap, in the muck, in the sticks, in the trees, and ripping it through the weeds and all that stuff. Wrong. I get a few guys came in 2 weeks ago, and they bought 5 spools of Power Pro. And I was asking them, you know, are they getting ready for because we had a sale on it. I was asking if they're getting ready for frog season. I was like, they're like, no, we actually use it on our spinning gear. I was like, oh, really? So I started talking to them about it, and I guess this is a pretty popular thing because I did a little research on it. A lot of guys spool their spinning reels up with braid because it casts better. And this stuff is pretty slick, and it comes off the reel great. I use it on my bait casters, but I'm going to try it on my spinning reel this year. And then they use fluorocarbon leaders. Now, the only thing I'm worried about is my knot strength between my fluorocarbon and my braid. I'm not really good at tying all those fancy knots. So, you know, that's the one thing that's hindering me from doing it. However, I'm going to try and practice those knots to see if I can get a good quality one so I can try fishing with braid. I just find, from what they've told me, and from I looked up, a lot of people have success because they don't get as many break-offs, and they have more power to horse in a fish because your line's not going to snap. So when they get a bigger fish, you know, sometimes with a spinning reel, tension gets on, and I've had it where the guide actually breaks the line, and just because you had a fray in there, somehow it gets caught up, whatever. I find all my breakoffs happen when I'm using a spinning reel, and it sucks, but it happens, and that's just part of fishing. But I've used the Power Pro now for 2 years, a year and a half, and I've had no problems with it at all. I use it on my frogging reel, and you guys saw me horsing a bowfin, a whole bunch of bass on that stuff, and prove it to the test, it does hold up. And what they're saying here, it says proven power, and that is exactly what it is. Yeah, I'd probably bet you could tow your truck out if you doubled this up. You know, stay away from spiderwire garbage. Don't buy spiderwire. It eats your guides up. I've had numerous people come in for guide replacements because it makes a groove. and I've done this to myself actually, that one of the rods I own has a groove in it because the spider wire, when you put tension on it and it rubs, it basically just like sandpaper, and it takes a notch out, and that will fray if you like switch reels and use it like mono or fluorocarbon. It'll fray it up like nothing, and that's when you get your breakoffs and things like that, and you also get your eyelets broken that way, and it destroys your rod. So stay away from spider wire. It's garbage. Stay away from the P-line braid. Invisex by Seaguard does the same thing to you, or not Invisex. The Seaguard braid does the same thing to your eyelets as the spider wire does. So just stick with Power Pro, guys. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to be disappointed. We sell tons of it. The second one I would recommend to you that I've been getting a lot of guys come in and buy is the Suffix braid. I've heard a lot of good things about that. I've heard that it's a little bit like smaller diameter than Power Pro. However, it's just as strong and just as good with casting. So as you can see, I got plenty of Power Pro. So yeah, before I leave, I just want to talk about one more thing, and that's just a little maintenance for the rods and reels. You know, always properly lube up and oil your reels, especially this time of year before you're getting ready for the season. You got about, Illinois guys probably got a good 2 weeks left, I'm hoping, before the ice starts to melt. We're supposed to get 8 inches of snow tonight. It was 50 degrees, almost 60 degrees on Monday, 50 today. It's supposed to be 29 tomorrow, 8 inches of snow tonight, and then 50 by Friday. Crazy weather. And it's not going to be changing anytime soon, I don't feel. So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting ready for a tournament, actually, on Braidwood on Sunday, the 16th. So starting to oil up some reels and line some reels. But yeah, so just that's why I wanted to do this video, is to give you some tips on picking out lines, because a lot of people are getting out now and getting ready to gear up for the season. So one thing I do want to mention is the Ardent line butter. This stuff's great for your monofilament and fluorocarbon. Spray about 4 spritzes on each reel, spinning or casting, and what that does is going to soak into your line, and it's going to put a protective coating around it to protect it against sun, heat, and just, you know, maybe like chemicals and water. It'll like break down the monofilament. So spray it maybe every 2 times you use the reel. So I say I use the reel all day, wait next day, and then like 2 more days I go out again, hit it. Just keep it in your bag, 4 spritz on each reel, and you're gonna increase your line life by double. And then changing outline is another thing I want to talk to you about. Change your monofilament frequently if you use it a lot. Monofilament gets memory. If you have it sitting out in the sun, it causes damage to it from the ultraviolet rays. And if you have it in heat for a long period of time, it will like harden up and stiffen up, and you'll feel it on your hand. Change it. I change my reels with mono every about 3 weeks in the summer when I'm really active with fishing, and same with the fluorocarbon. Braid, you can get 3 seasons out of if you take care of it well. And what's cool about braid is if you have, say, like you have 2 reels that have braid, take the line off of one, tie the spool onto the other, because the bottom of the braid is still good underneath all the other stuff. So just spool it on from one reel to the other, and you're gonna be able to use the other end of the braid. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool idea. Try that out for yourself. Save you some money, because braid's expensive. Line is expensive in general. So just make sure you're maintaining your line well. Make sure everything, you know, feel it. If it's got bumps on it or anything like that, cut it off till you find a good piece that's not, and that's going to save you fish, and it's going to save you time on the water for really having to tie knots. So those are my tips for fishing line. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And as always, guys, be safe fishing and have fun.